Hi, this is Don McAllister and welcome to another edition of Screencasts Online. In this week's tutorial, I'm going to point you at a fabulous resource for all aspects of Mac automation, but for this week, focus on using some tools to automate your use of pages. The resource is a website called macosxautomation.com, which was created and is updated by my good friend Sal Soghoian. Now, up until 2016, Sal worked for Apple, heading up its user automation division, and was responsible for all aspects of automation on the platform, including Apple's powerful AppleScript. I've been fortunate enough to have shared a few Mac cruises with Sal and have benefited from many of his talks, as well as some tales of life within Apple and working with Steve Jobs. Now, Sal has always unofficially supported the Mac community with his side project, but since leaving Apple, he has expanded and improved the website. So let's start by taking a look at macosxautomation.com. So macosxautomation.com is a bit of a mouthful. If you go to the website, you'll see Sal's friendly face and some disclaimers. This website has been in existence since before Sal did leave Apple, so there are plenty of disclaimers on the website because of his position within Apple at the time. But read through here. And if you're happy with those disclaimers, just click to continue. Now, although the top-level website is macosxautomation.com, there are some different domain names that focus in on automation on specific topics. So, for instance, there's a photosautomation.com, iWorkAutomation, configautomation.com, looking at the setup of iOS devices using Apple Configurator. Sal has recently been doing some work with the Omni Group. So there's a new one here, omniautomation.com. Perhaps we'll take a look at that in a future show. And across on the other side, macosxautomation.com/automator, AppleScript, and dictation commands as well. And down at the bottom, Mac Automation Scripting Guide and a scriptable Swift app, which is a separate tutorial from a guy called Ray Wenderlich. Now, what we're going to look at today, though, is we're going to focus in on iWorkAutomation. Again, we have our disclaimers, but I'll click through to continue. And what I thought we'd look at today is one thing that's really bugged me, and that's I'm still using Pages 09. It's nearly the end of 2017, and I'm still using Pages 09 to lay out and create the Screencasts Online monthly magazine. Now, this is because we use data merge, or sometimes called mail merge, to create the magazine, and the current version of Pages doesn't support data merge. However, with the help of Sal's iWorkAutomation tools, data merge is now supported, and I should be able to migrate to Pages 6 for the monthly magazine process. Now, before we take a look at data merge, let's take a quick look at the website itself. We can only barely scratch the surface in today's show, but if you head across to this side panel here, this is a way of navigating around the section. So we have the overview here, we have some automation utilities, which gives you more and more information about using scripting and AppleScript. But if I just go back a level, let me just go back up a level. Then we have individual pages about the specific applications. So if you look at Keynote, there's all information about why you might want to automate, and then you can break it down into all the different modules that AppleScript supports for this particular application. So application level classes, there are ways to automate the handling of Keynote themes, Keynote documents. So you'll see here, this Keynote Suite document class gives you all the elements and properties about documents within Keynote if you're using AppleScript. Now, obviously, you do need to understand AppleScript to get the full value of this rich information. But Sal, being Sal, has created lots of sample files and sample workflows for you to experiment with. And that's how I got into the data merge side of things. So if I go back to, well, let's go back to iWorkAutomation. And then if I go down to Pages, again, there is an overview. There is information, AppleScript information about the various elements, so templates, documents, body text, sections, images. But the one I want to show you today is this option here, which is the text item. So lots of information about its properties, all highly valuable stuff. But across here, we have a data merge option. So on this page, Sal gives us some detailed information about a separate utility that's been written that acts as a bridge between Pages and your data source, whether it be a numbers spreadsheet or a CSV file, and sort of walks you through the process of how to use the data held within that data source in your Pages documents. So you can create a mail merge in effect and swap out placeholders within your Pages document with the information held in the external data file. Now, I'm going to show you how to do that, although Sal has done a really good video here, as well as providing you with a link to download this Pages data merge application and the example files that he shows in the video above. But I'm going to go ahead, download the sample files, and I'll do my own version of Sal's video, perhaps with a few extra pieces in as well. So if I go in and click on download, that downloads the file, should unzip, there we go. If I just open that up, and what I will do, so 3 files in here: client estimates numbers, which is a numbers file containing some client information, an estimate, which is a Pages document, and then the Pages data merge application itself. This is the bridge application to allow us to do the mail or data merge. So let me go ahead and I'll just drag this folder. In fact, I'll just drag it over to my desktop. We'll close that down and let's take a look at setting up our data merge. So let's take a quick look at those 3 documents in a little bit more detail before we go ahead and set up the data merge. So we have this numbers spreadsheet containing our client information. Standard spreadsheet has columns for name, full name, first name, last name, email, phone, street, city, state, zip, and an estimate column as well. This is just some information that we might want to include within our business letter. I might add a few more columns in later to show you how that works, but we'll pop that down out of the way. This is the Pages document estimate. If I open that up, there are some of these what's called placeholders. You can see Sal has produced these in a different color so you can identify them more quickly. What I think I will do though is I'll close this down and we'll look at the Pages data merge application separately. I'm going to create a brand new Pages document from scratch. So if I say new, and if I use probably the same template that Sal has used, let's find it. Where is it? There we go, business letter, which is that one. So if I select business letter, when you create a new Pages document from a template, you do get these various placeholders. So this is a date field, which is fine. We'll leave that as is. But here we have these placeholders. And usually what I've done is just use them as a reference point to overtype. So with the placeholder selected, I just start typing and that overwrites the placeholder. But placeholders can be used to act as placeholders for data when you do a data merge. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to delete, see these are all placeholders at the moment. I'm going to delete these. I'm going to start from scratch. Let's delete the address. Let's delete that. This body text is a placeholder as well. Let's get rid of that. In fact, I think these are placeholders as well. Yep, we'll get rid of that as well. And we'll start back from up here. So let me start creating this form letter from scratch. And the first line of the address is going to be the person's full name. So if I just type in here full name, so this is where I want their full name to appear. So that's just plain text. But if I select that, I'm actually going to copy this as well. Okay, so I've copied that. Now if I go to Format, Advanced, Define as Placeholder Text, use the keyboard shortcut if I want, but let me just go ahead and select that. That has now been converted into a placeholder. Now, if we go across to the formatting panel, tap on More, then down at the bottom you have this option called Script Tag. So if I give that the same name, right, I've now labeled that placeholder as full name. Let me do another entry. So let's say this is going to be street address. So we'll call this address street. Again, I'm just going to copy that because I'm going to use the value that's displayed on screen as the name of the placeholder. So now I go to Format, Advanced. I'm going to learn this keyboard shortcut. So it's Control Alt Command T. Control Alt Command T. So I'll do that for the next one. So down here for the script tag, address street. We'll say address state. I'm going to copy that. So now if I do Control Option Command T, that has changed it to a placeholder, and we have the script tag down here at the bottom, and just Command V pops in the same name. Just to point out at this point as well, the names I'm giving to these placeholders don't have to be exactly the same as the names contained within the spreadsheet, because we use the bridging application to define how the placeholder equates to the data held within the spreadsheet or external file. But we'll look at that shortly. Let's just put two more things in here. So let's just change this up a little bit. Actually, that probably should have been address city on that line, which is fine. This is still a placeholder. So I'll just select this one, Command C, just to copy the name of this placeholder into my copy buffer. I'll do Control Option Command T to convert it to a placeholder, and then pop over here the script tag name in. And then let's just finish off the address with, say, the zip code. Again, I'll just select this, copy it, Control Option Command T, and then down here we'll paste in that name. Okay. Now obviously we're going to start the letter with Dear and then their first name. Again, I'm going to select that, copy, Control Option Command T, and name the script tag as first name. Then we have our body text. So this is probably going to be the same for most of the customers. Let me just type in some random text. So I've created my form letter, but I've got some information I want to insert here as well. Thanks for your inquiry about, well, a certain item. So if we go across, let me just do this quickly. If we go across to the client estimate numbers spreadsheet, you'll see, although we have full name, first name, etc., these don't really have to be exactly the same. For instance, street is just called street, whereas I called it address_street across on the form letter, but we'll look at that later. I've got an estimate here. Let's say this is going to be, rather than an estimate, this is going to be a cost. And let's put a few more columns in. Let's say they inquired about a certain item. This item, let's say this particular person inquired about fluffy bunnies. Create another field. Let's say we have a stock checkbox. So this one, if I go to Format, Cell, we'll call this checkbox. Pop that back out of the way. So fluffy bunnies are in stock, and delivery of our fluffy bunny would be, again, I don't want that to be a checkbox, so I'll need to format that column. I want that to be text. Pop that out of the way. So this is going to be delivery. And fluffy bunnies can be delivered in 1 week. Let's say this one is Spock ears, currently not in stock, so no delivery period. And let's do just a couple more. I need to change this entire column to checkboxes. That's better. And let's say just one more. Say a special note. Not necessary to have everything with a special note. Let's say the false noses, not for use by children. And our invisible capes, use with caution. Okay, so I'll close that down. Don't need to use that as of yet. We'll pop that down. So thanks for your inquiry about, well, these are going to be the items. Again, we'll select it. We'll copy. We'll Control Option Command T. And we'll give that script tag a name down there. Currently in stock, and if you place an order within the next 48 hours, delivery will be approximately, again, I'm going to put this down as delivery. Select that. Copy it, Control Option Command T, put the script tag in, and the cost of the order would be, so this is going to be order value, convert to a placeholder, give the script tag a name, and then the special comments. Let's put the special comments up here. I'll select that. Copy, Control Option Command T, and then give our script tag the same name. Okay, that's our form letter. I'm happy with that. Let's go ahead and save this. File save. I'll put it in the same folder on my desktop. And we'll say save. Now let's take a look at how we create our data merge. Now we do need to keep this open. So what I'm going to do is to remove the format bar. I'll just move this over here and slightly off screen. The next thing is to have a look at the numbers spreadsheet, because we need to select the data that we're going to use to create our mail merge. So if I open up this client estimates number, so as before, I've entered this extra information in here. Now I really only want to send the form letter off to people that we have the products in stock. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to order this spreadsheet. So I'm going to sort ascending by stock. Okay, let's say sort descending. That's better. And then just select these first 5 rows, or rather 6 rows, including the header. Now with that selected, if I pop this down out of the way, and then I run the pages data merge application. Now because I haven't downloaded this from the Mac App Store, it's prompting me it can't be opened because it's from an unidentified developer. So Control or right click, say open, and we'll say open. Okay, and I can pop that out of the way. So this is my Pages Data Merge application, and very conveniently Sal has created this and numbered the steps from 1 through to 6, but let's go through it. So first thing to do is to choose the source of the data to be merged and import the data. This is controlled in the first step. As you can see, I have selection of numbers table selected, and if you remember, I've already selected the first 6 rows of that numbers table. Next to the import button, there is an option to skip the first record. Now, I'll check this, but on testing, it doesn't seem to work. And in this particular instance, that's not too bad because I'm going to bring the header records in to show you the names of the columns. If I didn't want to use a selection of a numbers table, I could use a comma delimited file, a tab delimited file, or clipboard. Now, this might be useful if you're using Excel and you want to import data from an Excel spreadsheet. Open the Excel spreadsheet, export it as a CSV file, and then you'll be able to import it that way. But I'm going to stick with my selection of numbers table, and then I can go ahead and say import. So the very first row contains these headings. So full name, first name, last name, email, phone, street, city, state, zip, cost, item, stock, delivery period, and special note. So these are the ones that we added into the spreadsheet before. And if I just switch quickly back across to numbers, you'll see that the data record items in the app represent the labels of the various columns in the numbers spreadsheet. Okay, and I've got these first 6 rows selected, so that's what's going to be imported. I'll pop that down out of the way again. Now I need to assign a placeholder tag. So the full name in my spreadsheet equates to full name over here in my pages document. And the way to assign that is to click on here, and I should see, yeah, I've got some other placeholders that I haven't removed from that original document, but you can see here I've got full name. Select that. So full name in my spreadsheet is assigned to the placeholder tag full name in my pages document. What else have I got? Address street. So there's street. We'll choose tag address street. I use the first name as well. Let's go back up to there. Select first name. I've got this one here, which is address city. State is address state. Zip is address zip. Cost. Well, my cost here, the cost of the order would be order value. So this is order value, the placeholder name. The item, I've labeled as item here as well. So we should have one for item. There it is. And then whether or not it's in stock. I don't need to show that because I've used the stock checkbox just to order the spreadsheet to make the correct selections, so I don't need the stock option. Delivery period, there's a placeholder called delivery, and finally special note. I've labeled special comments across in my document. Some other things here as well, if I just go back into here, options to clear the placeholder tag assignment. So if I do that, special comments disappears. Let me put that back. There is also options to assign as email recipient address. You can, as well as creating PDFs and documents as the output, you can then attach them automatically to emails. If I wanted to do that, I would need to assign email recipient address. Well, over here, I have got an email. There we go. Got an email record in my spreadsheet. So I can say assign as email recipient address. And over in this right-hand column, we've got the M to show that's going to be used for mailing if we decide to mail this off. There is also an option if I wanted to create, rather than sequentially numbered files, if I wanted to have the files using one of these names, let's see the last name, and go to here, I can assign for use with file naming, and that gives us a little N. You'll see how that works when I run it. Now, if you update your Pages file, or you want to switch to a different Pages file, you have to say Update Tags menu, but I will leave that as is. Now, the type of export file format, so you can create Pages documents, Word documents encrypted, so you can put a password on them, PDFs, PDF documents encrypted, EPUB, or unformatted text. Let me just go ahead and say PDF document. So it's not encrypted, so there's no password. Set the export destination. I'll actually send that to my desktop again. We'll say choose. Now, this optional step is to attach the exported items to individual mail messages. So you would tap on attach, you would put a subject and you put a message in, and then you could automatically send created messages if you wanted to. I probably wouldn't want to do that. I'd want to check them first. In fact, let's go ahead and do this. We'll say attach. We'll say yes. Order update. Option return for a new line. But I won't automatically send created messages. So we should be good to go. So let's see what happens. I'll say begin. Do you want to perform a data merge using the front Pages document? Yes, we'll say begin. And the process has now started. So it's creating an individual PDF for each row in the, for each selected row in the numbers spreadsheet that you saw before. And at the same time, it will also be creating an email. Not sending it, just creating an open email and attaching the PDF to that email. Now, the emails aren't being displayed on screen, but when we switch across to mail, we should see them. So I'll just let that complete. Let me just tap show. And these are the individual PDFs that have been created from the process, all with the last name tagged to the end, so Mackie and Maya. Let me just pop this out of the way, and we'll swap over to mail. So here are our emails all ready to go. So addressed to the email address from the spreadsheet, subject order update. We've got please find attached your order update, best regards, Don. And then the PDF attached to the email. So we have his full name, street, city, state, zip, Dear Albert, which is his first name. Thank you for your inquiry about magic cushions. I'm delighted to say that this is currently in stock, and if you place an order within 48 hours, delivery will be approximately 3 days. Now, unfortunately, special comments has appeared. That wasn't supposed to happen. I think that's because the cell was empty. I should have put spaces in the cell. I have played with this before, and if it was empty, that actually disappeared, but obviously hasn't worked this time. Let's have a look at another one, but we've got the cost would be, and then it's pulled out the cost from here. Let's just have a look at another one to Dwayne Mayer. That's all fine. Yeah, so the special comment has gone in there fine, use with caution. So I might want to go back in and change the special comments for those ones that are blank, but I won't send these emails. Let's quit mail. And let me pop that down. If we have a look at our folder. So these are all the different files. And if I open one up, let's say Hamstra. So that was to June Hamstra. We've got the address, first name. Thank you for inquiring about false noses, blah, blah, blah. And there's a special comments in there. Of course, the beauty of this is if you don't get it quite right, or if you want to change something, you've only generated a number of PDFs. You can delete them and make your slight alterations and then try it again. But anyway, that's how to create a data or mail merge using Pages and the Pages Data Merge app. Another thing you may want to do with iWork automation is to generate a Christmas letter to all the family. Now, I appreciate this is probably a bit late for this Christmas, but next Christmas, it's something that happens more in the States than it does here in the UK, but I do receive emails from people to give me an update on what they've done throughout the year. And if you have all your family in your contacts list and you have a Pages document with your update for the previous year, you can use a combination of contacts, mail, and Pages to generate individualized documents and send them off. And again, Sal has he's done all the work basically. He's written a script and given you some instructions on how to do this, but I'll just go through it quickly. And you can always go across to iWorkautomation.com to check out the more detailed information and to download the sample files. So let's go ahead and do this. This is another Pages option. And then if we go down to Examples, there is an option within Examples for Mail Merge. And this will lead you through the entire setup. Basically, go to Contacts, make sure that you have a default card set up. There is a template you can download and create a group within Contacts and then just run the script. Very simple. So let's pop this down. If we go across to Contacts, so this is my card, and you need to have a phone number, an email, and an address in here as well, and a first and second name. And then what you need to make sure that you do is you go to here, under card, and say, make this my card. So there it is. SEO Demo has this little symbol next to it so that you know you have a default card. And then the people I want to send this email to are my family. So if I click on family, I've got 3 members of the family here. Each one has an email address, a home address, and also first name and second name. So the script needs this for all the people it's going to send the information to. If any of those pieces of data are missing, it will skip them. But that's your contacts sorted out. If you're using CardHop, you can use CardHop to go in and change this if you need to. Let's go back to the website. And what I need to do now is to download the template. So there is a small template here. We'll download the template. If we now open the template, so if I open this up, rather than add it to the template chooser, I'm going to say new document first. Pop that down. So this is the format. These are the fields that are going to be completed, but you might want to change the date. So we'll say set to today, a recipient first name, recipient last name. You can leave all this as is. And when we look at the script later, you'll see where this all fits in. Dear whoever. Now these are placeholders. So here I could put, so Merry Christmas and here's what happened last year, and then put your life story down there. You might want to reformat this possibly. Let's change the text. So if I select the text, we'll go to style, change the font to something a bit nicer. Let's say that one, it looks nicer. I can make this bold if I want. Command B to make that bold, but we'll leave everything else as. Let's make that bold as well. Right, I want to save this as a template now. So if I say File, Save as Template, add to Template Chooser. So there is my new one. So let's say Xmas, well, it's going to be 2018 by the time you are able to use this. Xmas 2018 update. Okay, and we can close that down. Close Pages down now as well. We'll quit Pages. No, I don't need to keep that. I've saved it as a template, so we'll say delete. Back across to Safari. And what we need to do now is to grab Sal's script. So if we go down here, this is the script that Sal has created. So we're going to open this in the Apple Script Editor. So I'm going to click on this button. Do you want to allow this page to open Script Editor? We'll say allow. Now before it does load the script, because obviously it could potentially be a malicious script, it gives you the chance to have a look at it. But we know who the source is. We can trust this, so we can say new script, and that loads it into what's called the script editor. Now, while it's in the script editor, you'll see it's all purple at the moment. We can compile it, which is this button here. And if it compiles properly, you'll see that it changes to a multicolored presentation showing you all the different variables, etc. Now, you don't really need to go through and understand what all these commands are, although it is very, very useful. Apple Script is very straightforward in its syntax, so it's quite, well, I wouldn't say it was quite easy, but it is possible to read through a script and understand what it does. So, for instance, here, set the phone count to the count of phones. So this is talking about the number of phones entries in a particular record. Then if there are no phones, so phone count is 0, then it errors. Else if the phone count is 1, then it sets a variable to the value of the first phone number. So you can work your way through. You don't have to, but you can if you want to. What I'm going to do, though, is we'll pop this out of the way. I think I should be ready to go now. So if I run this script, it should prompt me for some information. So let's hit play or run. Right, this script will perform a mail merge between a Pages tagged template and a chosen contacts group. Contact data requirements for the sender are first name, last name, email address, mailing address, and phone. So my card should contain that. And the contact data requirements for recipients are first name, last name, and email address. Now there is an option to auto send, but again, you really don't want to auto send emails off when you're doing something like this. If you did want to, you could go into preferences, set it to on, but I'm going to leave it with off. Highly recommend that you don't auto send emails out. And then we'll say begin. Right, pick the recipient contacts group. Well, I'm going to send it to family. You could, of course, create a special group and just pull in certain contacts into that group. But I'm going to say family. We'll say OK. Pick the tagged pages template to use. Well, there's my Christmas 2018 update. It's the only template I have available to me, so that's the one that's being presented. We'll say OK. Enter the name to use for the exported document. And we'll say OK again. Now, if you want to put in a password for the PDF, you can do, but I'm going to say no password. Enter the subject for the created mail message. Xmas greetings from SEO demo, and we'll say OK. And there we go. Right, that's finished. So it's addressed to my 3 family members, my subject, Christmas greetings from SEO demo, and then it's attached to the PDF. And the PDF contains my first name, my second name, my made-up real address, my made-up phone number, my email address. It's got the date, and then it's got my family member's full name. It's got their real address, dear first name, Merry Christmas, and here's what happened last year, sincerely yours, and then my name in bold down here. And that is the same for everyone, obviously with the contact details changed for each family member. And if I was happy with this, I could just click send, and that's my Christmas message sent out for the year. As I say, apologies for receiving this after Christmas. I know it's bad timing, but at least now for next year, you'll be set up and ready to go. But that's it for this week's episode. And a huge thank you to Sal for creating the resource and making it available to everybody. I'll certainly be dipping in and having a look at a few more things, particularly interested in doing some numbers automation. So we'll take a look at some numbers automation in the future. But anyway, that's it for this week. All that remains for me to say is I hope you had a great Christmas, and I wish you and your family a very happy, healthy and prosperous new year. If you want to learn more about using your Apple devices, there are over 700 full video tutorials available to Screencast Online members, covering all aspects of the Mac, iPhone, iPad, Apple Watch, and even the Apple TV. Now, all full members receive a new Apple-related video tutorial each and every week, as well as a free subscription to the Screencast Online monthly magazine, packed with videos and articles on getting the most out of your Apple devices. Now, you can get your free 14-day trial membership over at screencastsonline.com, or check out some of the free content over on the SEO Showcase app on the iPad, iPhone and Apple TV. That's it for this week. I'll be back next week with another tip, so I'll speak to you then.